So you're pondering what is the most universal food.
Yes, that is what I'm pondering. And I know you gave the answer of bacon.
That's not very universal.
It's almost universal, but not quite.
There's a pretty good part of the population that would not indulge in
No.
the goodness of bacon.
The vegans, of course.
And the Muslims and the Jews.
Primarily vegans, they make the most noise about it.
Yes.
We
But
love our
there's-
vegan viewers.
Do you have an intro?
I sort of do.
I just cut you off.
I was just going to say welcome back to Left Footers. This week we have the ever funny Father Christopher Schmidt, my brother priest at St. Joseph's Basilica, and we're here to blabber about food and
Well, why don't we start with what most shows that have a drink in front of them start with, which is naming the beer that we're drinking.
so the beer we are drinking is Omission beer, gluten-free beer, and I'll allow you to explain why.
Because I have the wonderful joy of being celiac, and I consider it God's big practical joke on me.
Oh, how come?
Well, God decided that he was going to call me to be a priest, and so I finally gave in after much kicking and screaming and went to go do my medical to start my formation, and the doctor says, "You're celiac." So God calls me to be a priest to celebrate the Eucharist every day, allowing the bread to be transformed into the body of Christ, and Jesus says, "You're going to be allergic to me."
I should not be laughing, but
It's a pretty good joke.
It's a pretty good joke.
So I get stuck with this, and I apologize for making you suffer my same.
Oh, no worries.
Plight today.
It's actually pretty good. So, good job, Omission. My first question is, what do you think was the fruit that caused the downfall of our first parents, Adam and Eve?
Well,
Because,
it definitely wasn't an apple, because who wants to eat an apple?
yeah, apple seems sort of boring.
Kiwi?
The bird? How do you eat your kiwis? Because I've seen it in different ways.
With a
Do you-
spoon.
With a spoon.
Cut
but
it in
you-
half, and you scoop it out with a spoon.
But you peel off the skin, right?
No, you eat the skin. It's your little bowl.
But do you eat the skin?
God, no.
You know you can.
Yeah, I've seen people do it, and
Yeah. No?
it would be like taking a bite out of a pig with his skin intact.
So you wouldn't
Although
like
pork rinds are pretty
pork
good.
rinds, exactly.
But they take the hair off.
Okay,
the
so
pork
like a
rinds.
bird, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like eating chicken with the feathers still.
Yeah, that might be problematic. See, I thought like the fruit of the downfall would be the durian. I think that's how it's pronounced. It could be something completely different.
What is this
I'm guessing
fruit?
there's going to be a line actually giving the correct pronunciation of it. So it's this like spiky fruit that you can find in supermarkets that is like yay big, and it stinks like tremendously. Now, I'm not saying it's bad in taste. I'm just saying it has this odor that says, "Don't eat me." And I would imagine God would give this kind of
Fail-safe?
fail-safe, that's it, I can't speak, for this fruit, because, just in case, if, you're not listening to my word, at least listen to your nose, your nose knows.
I can get behind that. It kind of takes the form of sin. It's appealing to the eyes on the outside, and there's pleasure to behold it.
But it smells.
And once you've already
It
committed
smells
to
like
it,
garbage.
but you've already committed to it once you've plucked it off the tree.
I might as well
And
continue
so
eating
even
garbage.
after you've opened it, it doesn't matter that it stinks. You have to know what it tastes like.
So it's like having a Big Mac at 12 at night when, you've had a long day. You just don't care what you're eating. You're committed to this.
Yeah.
You want the Big Mac. You're going to eat it. Doesn't matter what it is.
Even though you've seen those videos with a Big Mac that stayed on the counter for 2 years and still hasn't gotten moldy because of whatever's inside,
Yeah.
you still put it in your mouth.
So, yeah. I think the monks were really the first, proper foodies. In that, they were the ones that were able to preserve the knowledge that we had from the ancient world during the Dark Ages when governments were falling apart and yada, yada, yada. They were the ones who knew how to use agriculture to its fullest capacities to, make wine or make beer. and use the wine for the sacramental purposes and also for, the other purposes of life and enjoying life. And in that way, I think the monks were the first ones who were able to see the very little variations, in the type of soil and the type of conditions, and maximize the vines to their fullest potential to make good food. And I think in some ways those were the forefathers of, the exploded culture of food that we have now. Like, it's amazing how many different food cultures we have, and the different fusions and the different innovations that we have happening in the world. I don't think there has ever been a time where we have been able to have so much different kind of food. Not to say like just quantity of food, but variety of food. I think that, has the first steps within the monks experimenting in the process, being the first foodies. And I think that's only really sort of seen and possible within the Christian faith.
I think probably one of the best examples of that is Chartreuse,
Yeah,
where you have this liqueur that's made only in one place in the world by one group of monks that they somehow discovered by combining 40-something herbs that
Exactly,
grow
yeah.
around only their monastery, and they create this delicious, tasty liqueur.
Absolutely.
If you find it, buy it. It's worth trying. Yeah, that's what you said. The mystery of the Christian life is coming to understand creation well enough that you can maximize its potential.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, important question. To see if we can still be friends.
Yes.
What temperature do you cook a steak at?
If I could, it would go negative because I like raw. So.
Very good. We can be friends.
Okay.
I struggle to be charitable to anybody who will cook a steak more than medium rare. It is not maximizing the potential of the beef to cook it anything more than medium rare.
Well, I think you know that I enjoy, steak tartare, and sort of the raw beef with the raw egg yolk and all the other raw ingredients put together, mashed together, and then eaten. That is probably the most paleo diet thing you can do, mind you, but it just makes you feel basic, I guess. Not in like basic as in, I get my vanilla French latte from Starbucks, but rather basic as in just, this is simple, I can eat this, taste the flavor in everything.
Experiencing something in its elemental form.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Learning to pray the Our Father.
Yeah, in the elemental form of Aramaic.
Sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the language Jesus spoke.
You didn't speak English?
The Old English, maybe in the King James Version, but like when I was a kid, I always thought like Jesus in his divine knowledge would know any language. So if I had like a time machine and I would be able to, was able to pop back into time and speak to Jesus, I would imagine I would just have to speak with him, in like English, and he would understand me. He'd probably call me stupid and go back in the time machine and don't tell anyone you've seen me, as he says that to everyone, he performs a miracle, right? Don't say anything. Of course, I would probably say something, but that's the kind of thought I had when I was a kid, that, Jesus would know every end to a joke. Would he laugh?
But G.K. Chesterton says that Jesus' most hidden quality was his mirth. And our Christian art doesn't really do justice to that, because Jesus is always intense. This is serious. This is not a laughing matter.
He is Batman. I am Jesus of Nazareth.
I am the vine. You are the branches.
I almost want to see some fan art of Jesus as Batman. So I think that'd be pretty fantastic.
But he couldn't have been like Pee Wee Herman either, because that would have turned everybody off at the same time. Hey everybody, it's Pee Wee's Playhouse. Maybe that's not a good example to use.
Well, you would imagine if he was mirthy, everything is sort of good, right? That's what is found in the book of Genesis. Everything's good.
Okay, so if Jesus was hanging out with his bros, and they were gonna have a big celebration, it was Peter's 30th birthday.
Okay.
What are they eating?
No bacon yet, because that
No.
hasn't been revealed. Maybe, a young calf, as, the Lord mentions quite a bit. Probably a lot of bread. Probably some good wine. Olives. They have a lot of olives.
Probably still had some leftover wine from Cana.
No, I think they drank it up.
Have you seen the size of those cisterns?
Do you think they were saving this? This is good stuff.
Those
Drink it up while you have it.
4 cisterns would have been like...
Enough to fill this pool?
No.
Oh, well, there you go. See, they didn't save any.
I love our Catholic faith because creation, according to the Catholic mindset, is that food and a meal is an experience of God.
Yeah.
Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he is present in their midst. And by tasting the fruits of the earth, we come to experience a taste of heaven.
Pretty profound.
Yay, beer.
Yay, beer. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, thanks for wasting time with us. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe, and send us a comment, and we'll see what we can talk about.